On January 11th, 2015, a guard at ADX Florence noticed something impossible. Cell 405 was empty. The door was locked from the outside. The window bars were intact. But Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, the world's most wanted drug lord, had vanished. This shouldn't have been possible. ADX Florence is called the Alcatraz of the Rockies. It's designed to be escape-proof. 23 hours of solitary confinement, laser sensors, pressure pads under every floor, guards who never speak to inmates. It holds the Boston Marathon bomber, the Unabomber, the man who tried to blow up a plane with a shoe. No one has ever escaped. But El Chapo didn't escape from ADX Florence. He escaped from somewhere far more dangerous. This is the story of how one man broke out of Mexico's highest security prison, not once, but twice, using methods so elaborate they seemed ripped from a Hollywood film, and how his final escape sparked the largest manhunt in Mexican history. Let's go back to 1993. Joaquín Guzmán Loera was already a legend, the head of the Sinaloa Cartel, a billionaire who moved cocaine by the ton. Forbes listed him as one of the most powerful people on earth. But in June 1993, Guatemalan authorities arrested him and sent him to Puente Grande, Mexico's maximum security federal prison. The Mexican government announced it to the world. The drug war was being won. They were wrong. Puente Grande was designed to hold men like El Chapo. Double perimeter fencing, armed watchtowers every 50 meters, prisoners locked down 22 hours a day. But Guzmán had something the architects didn't account for. Money. Unlimited money. Within months, he wasn't living like a prisoner, he was living like a king. Guards smuggled in whiskey, prostitutes, and his favorite food from restaurants outside. He wore designer clothing, he held parties in his cell. The warden was on his payroll, so were 71 guards. Guzmán wasn't planning to serve his 20-year sentence, he was planning his exit. And on January 19, 2001, he made his move. At 9:15 p.m., during a shift change, El Chapo hid inside a laundry cart. A guard named Francisco Camberos wheeled him through 3 security checkpoints, past the metal detectors, past the guard towers, straight through the front gate. By the time authorities realized he was gone, Guzmán was already 200 miles away. He had walked out of Mexico's most secure prison in a pile of dirty sheets. The escape was humiliating. The warden was arrested. Dozens of guards went to prison. But El Chapo was free, and he would remain free for 13 years. For over a decade, Joaquín Guzmán Loera became a ghost. He moved between safe houses in the mountains of Sinaloa. The Mexican military launched raids, but he always escaped through tunnels built beneath his homes. He communicated through couriers, avoided phones, trusted no one outside his inner circle. But in February 2014, U.S. and Mexican authorities finally tracked him to a modest beachside condo in Mazatlan. 6:48
Breaching now! Move in! Copy!
They found El Chapo in bed with his wife. No weapons, no bodyguards. After 13 years, the world's most wanted man was back in custody. The Mexican government made a promise. This time, he would never escape. They sent him to Altiplano, the newest, most technologically advanced prison in Latin America. It was supposed to be inescapable. Altiplano Federal Prison sits 30 miles west of Mexico City. It was built specifically to hold El Chapo. His cell was under 24-hour video surveillance, cameras mounted in every corner. Guards monitored the feed in real time from a central command center. He was allowed 1 hour of exercise per day, alone in a concrete yard. Every visitor was screened, every phone call recorded. But within weeks of his arrival, Guzmán's engineers were already at work. Not inside the prison, 1 mile away. Using El Chapo's precise GPS coordinates, cartel engineers purchased a small plot of land directly in line with his cell. They built a small house on the property. Nothing suspicious, just another rural home. But beneath that house, they began digging. For months, teams of miners worked in shifts. They excavated a tunnel 1 mile long, 30 feet underground, reinforced with wooden beams, equipped with ventilation ducts, electric lighting, and a motorcycle mounted on rails to haul dirt. This wasn't some crude hole in the ground. This was a feat of engineering. The tunnel was tall enough to stand in, the walls were smooth, PVC pipes pumped in fresh air. And on July 11, 2015, the tunnel reached its destination, directly beneath the shower in El Chapo's cell. At 8:52 p.m., surveillance cameras showed Guzmán walking into the small blind spot behind a privacy wall near his shower. He didn't come back. Guards reviewed the footage. They saw him enter, but they never saw him leave. At first, they thought it was a camera malfunction. Then they heard the sound, a faint drilling noise coming from the floor. By the time guards entered the cell, a hole 20 inches wide had been carved into the concrete. A ladder descended into darkness. El Chapo was gone. The escape triggered a national crisis. Mexico's president, Enrique Peña Nieto, was in France on a state visit when he got the news. He cut his trip short and flew home. The embarrassment was international. The Mexican government deployed thousands of federal police. They set up roadblocks across 5 states. Airports were locked down. Rewards reached $5 million. But El Chapo had a head start. By the time authorities discovered the tunnel, he was already hours away, moving through a network of safe houses his cartel had maintained for exactly this scenario. The U.S. Marshals joined the search, so did the DEA. But for months, there was nothing. El Chapo had vanished. Again. Investigators began retracing the construction of the tunnel. They found the house, a motorcycle on the rails. The tunnel had cost an estimated $1 million to build. But to a man who made $14 billion in the drug trade, it was a real number. And that's the larger truth these escapes revealed. As long as cartels had infinite resources, they would always find a way. They would bribe guards, dig tunnels, build submarines. Because for them, prison is just another obstacle. And obstacles can be bought, tunneled under, or blown apart. El Chapo's story isn't just about escapes, it's about the failure of institutions to contain power when that power is measured in billions. Today, Joaquín Guzmán sits in a 7 by 12-foot cell in Colorado. He is allowed out 1 hour per day, alone in a concrete recreation area. He has no human contact except with guards. He will never be released. But his legend endures. In Sinaloa, they write songs about his escapes, narco-corridos that glorify his cunning, his defiance. Because in the end, El Chapo didn't just escape from prisons, he escaped from the idea that anyone, no matter how powerful, could be truly contained. Until he couldn't. And now,